This Lightning Spear Rhoa build is an incredibly fun and excellent setup that will see you cruising through Cruel on our fine feathery friend to the early endgame and puts us in a position to begin ramping the build towards T15. The true beauty of this setup lies in its simplicity, utilizing Lightning Spear and the Rhoa mount alongside leveraging the offerings the Amazon Ascendancy provides. First up, the skills, and before we go into the nitty-gritty of each skill and what they are socketed with, I will go over the play style. It's very straightforward, folks, and it all hinges around this Ascendancy node, Elemental Infusion. And we're interested here in that bottom line, which says when you consume a Frenzy Charge, you trigger Infused Weapon to gain 2 Lightning Infusions. Remember that. Our focus here is to get Combat Frenzy, our buff down here, to proc as many Frenzy Charges as possible for us. So we gain a Frenzy Charge when we freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy no more than once every 4.8 seconds. And the way we do this is by utilizing Lightning Spear, Herald of Thunder, and Infused Weapon once that gets rolling, and I'll explain how this works. Herald of Thunder procs absolutely all the time with this build. While active, killing shocked enemies with a non-herald attack hit will cause subsequent attack hits to release lightning bolts, which deal attack damage to surrounding enemies. That basically happens all the time because of the way this build functions. We've got Electrocute in here, which means whilst the skill can't inflict shock, it can do electrocution build-up from the sheer amount of lightning damage that we have going, so we're using that. We're also using Neural Overload supported skills, electrocute primed enemies on hit. And we've also got Long Shot that just increases the range and does even more damage to enemies that are far away, 30% to be precise. Really, really tasty. Some people use Long Shot in the Lightning Spear. I'm yet to practice with that and play around with it, but at the moment this is working just fine for me. So we've got that proccing Electrocute, which is proccing Combat Frenzy. And then we've of course got our Frenzy Charges, and Lightning Spear consumes those Frenzy Charges, which then triggers our Elemental Infusion, giving us 2 Lightning Infusions, which is where Infused Weapon kicks in. And that is where we will start to talk about the skills and the support gems and all that good stuff. So Infused Weapon, which is what we're going to be using an awful lot because of those procs I just mentioned, is socketed with Innovate, 35% increased damage as lightning to shocked enemies. Lightning Exposure, 8 seconds of lightning exposure on a shocked enemy. Fantastic. Bullseye for 50% more accuracy rating. I will explain why that is relevant later in the video. Very important. It links to our other Ascendancy choices. And Embitter. This just gives us a bit of cold damage. And if you remember, Combat Frenzy does allow us to freeze and gain charges. And we're going to be looking later on at getting something like Essence of the Mountain to ramp that cold damage up as well, potentially. I'll talk about that later in the video as well. And essentially, folks, these 4 skills just synergize with one another and do some absolutely awesome work. The Lightning Spear is socketed with Martial Tempo for 20% more attack speed, and that's our primary attack. Vault, now this is a really interesting one. I'll show you how this works really quickly. Watch the top of the screen as you see me mooch about on my feathery friend, the Rhoa. You'll see it's now up to 30 charges. If I fire a projectile, it spends them, and then they charge back up again, and it's just a really lovely flowy play style. What that actually means is for every 10 voltaic charges consumed, which max out up at 30, you gain 1 chain and 5% damage. So if we spend all 30, we get 3 chains and 15% increased damage. Just a really nice thing to do, and because we are moving all the time and kiting, it's just always ticking along nicely. Arguably it's usually around 10 because we're throwing quite a lot, and then sometimes we don't. It's just something to be mindful of. And we've got on top of that Lightning Infusion, 25% increased extra lightning damage and Perpetual Charge, which gives us a 35% chance not to remove charges, which means we get the benefit of spending the Frenzy Charge for the infusion, but we don't actually spend it, which then compounds that even further. And if we look at Combat Frenzy, we've got Profusion, 50% chance to gain additional charges. You can see where we're going here. We're just getting into this crazy little flow state where Infused Weapon's constantly proccing. We're getting so much more damage and throughput via this technique. It's absolutely awesome. And then we've also got Precision for 30% increased accuracy rating while the supported skill is active. Again, I will talk about accuracy rating later in the video. We're coming up to it. Other skills, we're using Sniper's Mark with Arcane Tempo for faster cast speed and persistence to make it hang around longer. That is just because when we're in a boss fight, we don't get the bang for our buck and mileage out of Herald of Thunder. so we're struggling to get combat frenzy off. Sniper's Mark gives you a frenzy charge when you land a crit, which is a lot because this is a crit build, and I'll go over that in a moment. We'll talk about the Rhoa in a sec. Storm Lance we use for bosses. We've got Primal Armament, and we've got Lightning Penetration in there. You can put Blindside in there if you're using a little bit of blind tech, which I'm not at the moment, but that is an option there. That is actually a flex socket at the moment, and I will pick something for that at a later date, but at the moment, things are working brilliantly. We've got Primal Strikes here socketed with Crescendo, which gives us the opportunity to get the final strike of the skill to perform twice. And we've got Pursuit, which gives us 25% more melee damage if you've damaged with a projectile attack, i.e. Lightning Spear. So that's really effective and just good if you're on foot for whatever reason, but you don't really spend much time there, believe me. And of course, we've got Wind Dancer for our defenses. Mine's not up at the moment because I don't have enough spirit, but great for more evasion. And we've got Wind Wave on there, which triggers and stuns enemies. But here, folks, is the creme de la creme, the Rhoa mount. This thing is absolutely cracked. Do not get it mistaken. I will put some footage over this whilst I talk about how good it is so you can see it in action. But essentially, it gives us such good maneuverability, kiteability. It just makes it so strong to run around the battlefield lobbing spears, and it's incredibly satisfying. And I will also show you something which absolutely will blow your mind and probably make you think, hey, I want to use this. Look at this node, Inspiring Ally. Increases and reductions to companion damage also apply to you. Yeah, it's all right. Well, let's take a quick look then at these nodes. Companions deal 12% increased damage. 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 That is then lumped into this 8% across the bottom of each node as well. That's 20, 40, 60, 80%. Now, someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but that is a juicy damage increase, okay? Really, really nice. And this bottom bit does have some defenses, which we will look at a later date, but at the moment, this is just working super nicely. And just to round off, let's take a look. We're using Clarity for that mana regen. This is a very mana hungry build. You do need that. We've got Meat Shield. We're interested in the 35% less damage the minion takes. And we've also got Minion Mastery for +1 levels. You can also use Loyalty, which means 10% of the damage the hits is taken from the supported companion's life before you. I don't use it personally at the moment because of the clarity that I need. Really, really strong setup. Let's just cycle back to the bullseye gem I mentioned. The 50% more accuracy and also the precision here with 30% increased accuracy rating while supported skill is active. This is highly relevant because of this node here. Critical Strike. And let's take a look. Chance to hit with attacks can exceed 100%. Gain an additional critical hit chance equal to 25% of the excess chance to hit with attacks. So let's just take a look at what this means. Infused Weapon. This has got a 140% chance to hit at 2 meters, 138, 131. That excess there, so that 40%, 38%, 31%, has that 25% equation factored in and puts it in here onto our critical hit chance from attacks. So the more you stack accuracy rating with this node, the better your crit hit chance gets. You can probably see where I'm going here. With that in mind, let's take a look at the Ascendancy tree first. We've gone for Elemental Infusion, as you already know, and Critical Strike. And then let's take a look at the tree really quickly. This will all be available via the Mobalytics link in the description and the pinned comment below, folks, to keep up to date. So feel free to click on that and have a look. I've explained it all in a write-up there as well. We've gone across here for attack damage, then dropped down there for accuracy rating because that's what we're stacking. We're going along here. We picked up these accuracy nodes here. These are really strong. Attack speed, 12% accuracy, etc., etc. Lovely. And we've also picked up accuracy rating from down here. Falcon Dive is so strong. 1% attack speed per 250 accuracy rating. Stack it, stack it, stack it. It's absolutely fantastic. The Spear tree I've maxed apart from one bit there. And this has got accuracy rating with spears, accuracy rating with spears, attack speed. It's got crit chance with spears, crit damage bonus with spears, increased projectile damage when there's no one around us. There's just so much value in this tree down here if we're using Lightning Spear, which is great. And then, of course, to keep this crit chance up, we've gone for all the crit nodes here and all the crit nodes over here in this little teardrop shape, just for maximum crit chance and crit boost. And of course, we could go up here and get more, or we could, if we decide to go down here and get more over here. And that's the crit and the accuracy setup. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the lightning setup that we've got going here as well. No surprises, Coming Calamity, 50% increased lightning damage while affected by Herald of Thunder. And then we've also got this Electrocute build-up tree and the 20% increased damage taken to enemies that are electrocuted from this node. Really strong. We've also got Catalysis for 20% increased elemental damage with attacks. And then we've gone over here for Surging Currents as well for that Lightning Pen setup over here, which just adds even more insanity to our damage, which is great. And then finally, a bit of defense. We've actually been able to hold off quite a bit, you know. We've got evasion rating here and a bit of movement speed, and we've got the evasion rating stuff over here, 30% there, lots of 15% nodes, and 100% evasion rating from the equipped body armor, and our juicy 25 dex node there as well. And as I've already explained, we've got this excellent Rhoa tree here that gives us that increased damage, and we've also picked up Maiming Strike for 25% attack damage, movement and attack damage, and a bit more attack damage there. It's a really well-contained setup, and I would regard this at level 72 as kind of being your entry into the endgame. It's a nice backbone. The spear is so important, and I will say this is a subpar choice. I have decked it out with physical damage, which is okay, but you'll notice it has got a low accuracy rating. The reason why that is important, folks, is because if you look at this next node, which I'm aiming for, Penetrate, attacks using your weapons have added physical damage equal to 25% of the accuracy rating on the weapon. For argument's sake, let's say that the accuracy rating was 200. That's 50 physical damage. 50! So if you get a weapon that's got a lot of fizz on it already, and then 200 accuracy rating in that node, that's another 50. Absolutely cracked. Proj is really good. Attack speed's really good. Any elements on top of it also good, especially lightning, obviously. Maybe cold if we're going to do some weird stuff with Embitter and things like that, but you catch my drift. Moving on to the rings. The rings are really important. I've got this juicy 19% all res, 429 accuracy rating ring, which is seeing me right with a bit of mana regen there. We've got the emerald ring over here with 124 accuracy rating. Emerald rings are goated because they come with accuracy rating. Obviously, that's what you want to be aiming for. It just so happens that this has 429 on it already as well. Really, really nice. So your usual stuff there, life, resistances, flat damage, whatever else you can get on top of it. But the accuracy rating is really important. We've also got our mask here with triple res and life and a bit of ES and evasion rating and mana. Again, you can get accuracy on your helm if you're lucky. I'm not sure if it would be this. I haven't really looked into that, but it's a possibility there when you're building this. The amulet, mine's absolute gutter tier. You want spirit here and whatever other bits of flex you can find when we're just starting this out. Mine's basically my stat stick. And speaking of stat sticks, this shield is really important to me because it gives me so much resistance and some nice life boost. There is a shield, I forget its name, Lycosia, I think it's called, or something like that. Doubles your accuracy. Absolutely cracked. Really need to get my hands on that. That would be your best in-slot choice. In terms of the belt, nothing crazy. Life, mana, resistances, strength. Get as much on there as you can. Chaos is obviously very expensive to get on here, but also very favorable. The gloves, we've got some flat damage and we've got some resistances and some mana leech. Not great if I'm honest, but there's 410 accuracy rating on there, which is why I've picked them. So really nice. And finally, Wake of Destruction. These are not mandatory at all. They are only 10% move speed. They give a lovely flat lightning damage, and they also drop Shocked Ground, which lasts 8 seconds, which obviously is very, very good for a lightning build. It's seeing me right. The only thing I would complain about is the fact that there's no res on them apart from the rune, and also the movement speed sucks. But it is what it is. This still works really effectively. Kitoko's Current. If you're struggling to get electrocutes off, these gloves are absolutely amazing. I've got to a point where I don't need them anymore, but I was relying on them for a while. Once you get your damage up and you get your Herald rolling and you use the setup I've given you, you will be proccing a lot of frenzy charges, so they're not mandatory. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.